Taylormade P790s. Could they be the player's iron that you've always wanted, but with the forgiveness that you need? Let's get into it.
Hey guys, Tyson and Brady with Golf Ascending. If you haven't yet, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We upload golf content every week. So let's get into it. What is a player's iron? So generally speaking, it is, what the players on tour use. It's that smaller profile, thin top line, and it just looks really clean, really thin. Usually you're able to work the ball a little bit more, hit a fade, hit a draw. Yeah. But can you actually get a player's iron in something forgiving that everyone can hit? So Brady, go ahead and take it away.
All right, so I wanted to try out all the best clubs or the hottest clubs of 2020, the irons. And so I looked at the Golf Digest hot list and I was like, okay, here are all the clubs I want to try and the ones that just looked really nice to me too. And so I went to the PGA Superstore and I tried out a bunch of the ones from that list. And of the ones I tried out, I actually tried, of course, the P790s, but I also tried the Cobra King Forge Tech, the Mizuno JPX 919, Titleist T300 and T200. Those were actually referred to me from Tyson as well. He's like, you got to try these out. And then a Srixon Z585. So I tried out a bunch of these and some more, and it came to feel. And as I was hitting them, the two best filling irons were the Mizunos and the P790s. And as far as the data goes and what performed best for me, it actually happened to be the P790s and the Forge Tech, the Cobra. But it really came down to the best fill, the best stats, the best backspin, what I felt like fit my game most. It doesn't mean P790s is the best club for everyone, but for me, the P790s fit my game. I loved it. And honestly, when I first picked them up, I didn't even realize that clubs could feel that great. Because I was used to hitting some massive cavity backs and they don't have that soft, like hitting through the grass like butter feel. And these did. So after trying out all those irons, this was the one that I felt was right for me, the Taylormade P790s.
All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the specs and some of the features that are in these P790 irons. But before I do, I want to mention, so the P790s are no new thing, as of today. They actually came out in 2017, and they had a rendition in 2019, 2020. So what's kind of cool about this is that that because it was such a good iron back in 2017, they just decided to refine, tweak just a little bit, and, you don't fix what isn't broke, right? So I'm going to get into a little bit of the specifications that also existed on the 2017 versions, but this is specifically for the 2019s. So in the P790s, it does have that trademarked SpeedFoam, and so what it's basically is it's injected inside the club, and it's supposed to help speed while maintaining that great feel. Another cool thing about these is that it does have a forged face that feels really soft that Brady can attest to when he gets to talking about
crazy soft
later. The next thing that they have is a low profile tungsten weighting. So this helps you launch the ball a little bit higher, makes it a little bit more forgiving. It also makes it launch really far, which we'll go into as well. And that's basically the main features on these P790s. One thing that I did want to touch on though is since I guess making them a little bit better from 2017, something interesting is that they did extend the shaft by 1/4 of an inch. And so what's interesting about this is that most people won't know, when trying these out, that they're just a little bit longer, but they're gonna make your ball flight go longer. The distance is gonna be longer just because of the shaft. So make sure, when you are comparing irons, kind of like what Brady was doing, make sure you're comparing apples to apples and you know exactly what's on the table when you're doing it. Another thing I want to mention kind of in tandem with that is that the lofts on these clubs, okay? So these aren't something, traditional. I actually play a club called the Titleist 718 CBs. These are very traditional lofted. My pitching wedge is 47 degrees. What's interesting about the P790s is that their pitching wedge starts at 45 degrees. However, it goes in increments up to 7 iron by 5 degrees. Whereas my set of clubs and most other sets, their increments is usually 4 degrees of loft. So what's interesting is within, the pitching wedge to 7 iron, you're going to have a little bit of bigger spacing between your gaps. Whereas, someone like me playing with standard lofts, standard distances between those, I may be looking at 10 to 15 yards between each club. But with something like the P790s in this 5 degrees of loft each step of the way, you might be looking at maybe 15 to 20.
Yep.
Just depending on how quick you're swinging. The faster you're swinging, the bigger gap you're going to have between those clubs. So that was something that I actually found very interesting with these clubs. Something else, so these P790s, they are offered from 3 iron down to gap wedge. They do offer a 2 iron, but it is listed as a UDI. So that means, I believe it's like an ultimate driving iron or something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But it basically just has a stamp that says UDI on the toe. Has a number 2, and it's 17 degrees. And it has a slightly longer face. But what's interesting is what I've seen in some of my friends that have had this club is a very low trajectory flight. I'm a part of a lot of left-handed groups, and sometimes this UDI, these specialty clubs, are hard to find. And so some of the guys that I'm in contact with that are left-handed actually will take the 3 iron and bend it strong to a 2 iron, and it works great for a driving iron. And so that's just something that I thought was interesting about these clubs, that they are so forgiving in the low irons that you can, strengthen it and make it a driving iron.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So that's basically, the features and specs that I wanted to go over. Brady actually got these clubs, like he said earlier, and he got them in his hands, tested them out, and, let's hear from Brady what he actually thought on these.
Yeah, for sure. Before getting into my review, make sure to let us know in the comments what you think about companies that kind of use smoke and mirrors to make you think, hey, I can hit this 7 iron way farther than my buddy's 7 iron. Because as Tyson was talking about, the longer shafts, the stronger lofts. So let us know in the comments what you think. All right, so my review of the P790s. Like I said, when I was choosing the irons, the P790s just felt the best. And that was compared to a lot of other great irons. And the Mizuno, as many people know, is known as one of the softest irons. But for some reason, the P790s just felt great to me. They also gave me the numbers I wanted. And when I took them out on the course, I did get that soft feeling that I always wanted, where it just goes through the ground like butter. Oh, it felt good. And I played pretty well with them. Like we said earlier, these are forgiving irons. They look pretty thin. They have a thin profile, but they're forgiving. And when I hit it bad, even if it was a low one, it would still kind of go the distance I needed. So it's pretty cool iron as far as how nice they look with kind of the player's iron look, but also how forgiving they are. Something that was kind of a negative for me is that these irons get a good, bounce, when
jump off the face.
Jump off the face. When I think it might be because they're so forgiving, but when you hit it right in the sweet spot, that thing will fly. And I was not used to that. I never had that with my other clubs. And so that was actually kind of a turn off for me at some points, because I could have a great shot and I would plan my yardages and then I would just soar over the green. I couldn't believe it. I was like, okay, I got to carry this ravine. And instead I carried the ravine behind the green. It was nuts. And that happened quite a bit. And as Tyson knows, with the stronger lofts, a little slightly longer shafts, my clubs were usually a club and a half farther than the clubs he was using. But it wasn't because I'm a power hitter, it's because the clubs are different. But yeah, that was something that was a little weird for me, and we confirmed that with some other people who've used the P790. This other guy we know who's a really good golfer, he's a pro, right? I mean, he fits people for clubs. He said he tried out the P790s and he said sometimes those things just fly. But they are forgiving, they look great. To be honest, I no longer have them in the bag anymore. I sold them, which I wanted to mention this as well. They are pretty pricey. Brand new, they're about $1,600, $1,500. I got them off eBay used, but they looked brand new for about $950. and then I sold them for about the same price. They hold their value really well because they are on the hot list. Whether it's the 2017 or the 2019 versions, they are hot clubs because they're just so nice and good forgiving clubs. Anyways, the reason why I sold them though is because, as some of you may know if you follow the channel, I have recently switched to the single plane golf swing, and we have a video on that, and in the future I'm going to do another video of my vlog experience of how that's going. And so the reason I sold the P790s was to buy the one length Cobra irons, because I thought that those fit the single plane golf swing a little bit better than the P790s. It would work, but I wanted, since I was doing single plane, going all out, I figured the one lengths from Cobra would be a great fit, similar to what Bryson DeChambeau uses. So that's the reason why I got rid of P790s. But overall, I think these are a great set of irons.
So I was actually able to test these as well at the simulator at the PGA Superstore. You know, and I've got some pretty positive things to say about these as well. You know, Brady says that these things are butter soft. I can agree with that. They are super soft. Definitely forgiving as well. One thing that I really liked about them was, you know, kind of like that player's iron look, little thin top line that kind of just like, I don't know, it enabled you to be creative with the club, enabled you to, you know, feel like you could move the ball and work it in either direction. And so that was something that I really liked about this club. You know, another thing, you know, Brady mentions sometimes the ball just shot off the face really far. And he mentions a time, you know, we were playing together and, you know, he's like, what the heck, how did that even go that far? I remember at that moment turning to him and I was like, what'd you hit, 6 iron? And it was an 8.
An 8 iron.
It flew the green by like 20 yards and I was like, holy moly. But, you know, I think this, you know, comes down to, you know, we talk about the loft, how there's 5-degree increments between, you know, the low irons from pitching wedge to 7 iron. And so, you know, if you do have that 5 degrees of loft, you know, I think it's only natural that you're going to have one that jumps and goes really far, and then you'll have one that goes, you know, not as far, kind of making that gap a little bit bigger than normal. Yeah. So those are just kind of my initial thoughts of them. You know, great looking club.
Oh yeah.
Definitely go try them out if you have the chance to. You know, definitely something where it is forgiving and it looks like a player's iron. So those are my thoughts on the P790s. All right, so that does it for our review on the P790s. If you guys did like the video, hit that thumbs up, subscribe. We do upload golf content every week, and we'll see you next time.